All right, welcome to the program, The Desk on Global Television. My name is Anthony Momodu. Welcome to the 14th day of January 2025. And we're in with all the big trending stories across the globe. And of course, right here in Nigeria, wherever you're watching us from the nation's capital. Let's begin our talking point from South Korea's Constitutional Court, which opened the impeachment trial of President Yoon Suk Yeol on Tuesday over his failed martial law bid, but quickly adjourned the first hearing after the suspended leader didn't show up. Yoon's December 3rd power grab plunged South Korea into its worst political crisis in decades after he directed soldiers to storm parliament in an unsuccessful attempt to stop lawmakers from voting down his suspension of civilian rule. He was impeached soon after and suspended from duty, but has gone to ground in his residence since refusing summons from the investigators probing him on insurrection charges and using his presidential security team to resist arrest. So we'll be looking at that issue as the trial, which first of the 5 trials began at 2 p.m. South Korean time, but lasted just a few minutes with Yoon not in attendance. So we'll be looking at the consequences of that action as we look at issues on the global perspective. From South Korea, we'll be going to the wildfire in California as United States President Joe Biden has announced a federal aid of $771 one-time payment to Californian wildfire victims as the Los Angeles County battles one of the worst sets of fires in the state history. Biden, whose tenure in the White House is drawing to a close, made the announcement on Monday, according to Hollywood Unclocked. The wildfire, which had claimed 29 lives, is a growing concern among Americans. However, Biden, in a meeting, vowed to offer a one-time payment of $770 billion to the victims of the deadly Los Angeles County fire, that the government would be covering 100% of the disaster response cost for the next 6 months. So we'll be looking at the impact and the goodwill from the presidency and how this is going to help. Nearly $5.1 million in immediate aid has already been distributed, with victims of the wildfire in Los Angeles being given a one-time payment of $770. Additionally, FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, has also reported that about 33,000 residents have already registered for disaster assistance. All right, from there we'll be moving to other talking points. On today's edition, I've got the Rebuild Nigeria 360 global president in the person of Jeffrey Olu Abidoye, who is joining us via Zoom to help us look at these and other talking points. Then after the first half of the program, we'll be joined by the Director General of IPAC, who will be giving us info as regards the Inter-Party Advisory Council, what they will be having in store for political parties in Nigeria in 2025. That will be on the second part of the program. All right, let's welcome the Rebuild Nigeria 360 Global President and the person of Model Jeffrey Olu Abidoye. Good evening and thank you for joining us on the desk.
Well, good evening, Anthony. Thank you for having me again tonight.
All right, I want to thank you, despite your very tight schedule, for doing us the honors to help us look at this very global issues making the rounds. Let's begin from South Korea, where the tension is still high, and the South Korean Constitutional Court did open impeachment trial today, but President Yoon Suk did not attend. It's supposed to be a 5 series of trials, but the first one ended quickly because he wasn't around, and he's still refusing to come out from his residence and still has the military supporting him and shielding him. How do you see this panning out? And will you give kudos to the military and the security apparatus for not taking laws into their hands to forcefully have him arrested?
Well, thank you so much. It's quite unfortunate, the development in South Korea, because before now, South Korea is a stable economy with purposeful leadership, a leadership that is bedrock on sound policy, ethical leadership, ethical values, and then principles. You and I will agree that South Korea is one of the strongest economy in Asian countries, but the country has gone so far that I think it was an error of leadership, an error of assumption, an error of calculation on the part of the president, when probably oppositions were giving him tough time, and in a bid to weaken that, in a bid to put that under checks, he decided to bring in the martial law, which has become an alien and forbidden in the country somehow. But unfortunately, little did he know that it would turn out or snowball to this kind of crisis that is the little fire that just ignited like a trial. Is consuming him, and is unabated as we speak right now. He has lost, peace of mind. He has lost direction. There has been instability in South Korea in the last 1 month, seriously. And the opposition in the parliament took advantage of that. It's like a waiting fire to be ignited somehow. That it played into their hands somehow, and they didn't take it, kindly. They took it up immediately, and today he has lost credibility. Today he has lost grip of the system. Today he's battling for his leadership as the president of South Korea, as well as battling, for his security and his safety somehow. This has generated a lot of, national public outcry. The pro-president and the, anti-president, group has been staging simultaneously different, protests against and for, and all that. But the good news is that I've been following this from the onset since last month. The good thing is that I give it to them, both those on the pro side and those on the opposing side. The way they have conducted themselves, in a civilized manner, in their protest, the way they go about it, nobody is destroying anything, nobody is attacking any public, asset or any way, nobody is shooting gun or whatever, and all this and all that. So both the civilians who are protesters for and against, both, the parliamentarians, who are for and are against, and then generally the military and the police too, and the defense team all around the president, they've all, display and demonstrated, what I could call dignity, decency, decorum, and discipline at the very highest level. I personally am very, very impressed, and that brings to mind why, and the major reason or the underlying factor why governance, why service delivery, is very strong, and good governance is very, because this is a zone or part of the world where ethical leadership, where culture, where values, where principles are strictly adhered to. That has been demonstrated in all ramifications. I'm really very, very, very happy, because up till now this thing is taking due process. Due process is being followed from all critical stakeholders that are involved in this. Of course, by law, Yoon has been elected duly, even though partially is losing grip, and it's said to be impeached now by the parliamentarian, I beg your pardon. But that cannot stand until, the court of law in the land review that, question him, look at, the credibility of the impeachment notice before they will either ratify it. And from record and from their policy, 8 judges, at least 2/3 of them, about 6 of them, will have to vote in support of the impeachment by the parliamentarian before the president can stand to be impeached. So for me, I've always wanted to defer things that we need to learn. There's so much to learn from Asian countries as regards the Western world. This does it. If you back to back now, if you look at that now to what happens in America, in 4 years ago when Donald Trump lost election. We all know the world sees and the records are there. As old as age as Donald Trump was, he let the cat, he let the wild dogs out of the bags. He brought in thugs, criminals to come and attack the White House. They did a lot of damage. You could see that unruly behaviors. You could see that uncivilized manners, way of conducting in an ugly manner. To a country that parades itself as the model of democracy in the world and all that. So look at the size of America to that of South Korea, and look at the raging storm that have been on for like 4 or 5 weeks running right now. But yet, day and night, even though there's a protest, everybody is doing things with caution. So I'm really very, very, very happy, with what is happening there. Whichever way it goes at the end of the day, whether the court, because the challenge that the president is having right now, the thing has generated so much that he's scared with the way the soldiers around him, and all that even led to, I think it's a chief security officer to have resigned. The hobnobbing, the crisis and all that, that has generated now making, very vulnerable, that is now afraid to appear in public and so many other things. Of course, his life too, his safety too, as still the president today, whether in the house of trouble or stormy water and all that kind of something, he still stands to be the president until the court overrule and then uphold, the impeachment notice or the impeachment process that the parliamentarians has effected. So for me, I am very, very happy. There's so much that we need to learn from them, in the very near future, and as we move on as a people and as a country.
Do you think the military would have to pay a price for defending him and resisting the arrest when he was about to be arrested? The fact that they did not allow the government to get the president arrested. Do you think they'll be made to pay for that later on if the president is finally convicted or ratified by the court, the constitutional court?
Well, the most important thing right now is that even though it has been alleged in line with the policy of the South Korean, in line with the law, that it is a criminal act, of course, it is equally believed that until proven guilty comprehensively from all ranks, because without prejudice, the parliamentarians, I beg your pardon, took the matter too far. Because they have overwhelming number in the house and all that. That was why they took that, decision. You will recall that the first impeachment notice where they said they want to impeach him, the people on his own side, from his own party, walk away from the parliament, and all that. And then that was the first attempt. And then those who voted in favor of the impeachment could not meet up the required number, that's cool. But they didn't, back down as far as that is concerned. So, like I said earlier on, it is a waiting game. It is, the opposition are the one that have been giving him a lot of trouble, choking light out of him and so many other things. That was why the initial thing, he wanted to bring in that martial law to curb, to curtail, and to contain their excesses as far as, the opposition, style is concerned. But unfortunately, in a bid to invoke that, and that failed. Because they are larger in number, because that is what they wanted to do, and since then, because I could recall, I was watching Al Jazeera and CNN when they were interviewing some, individuals, citizens of the country, that are saying, in fact, there was a protest that was staged, I think about 2 or 3 days ago, that what they want is, it is something that they should be able to manage, amicably, with unity, without rocking the boat, without throwing the country into turmoil and so many other things. So while some are against him, those who are in favor of the president are more in number, the citizens and so many other things and all that. So for me, the soldiers still reserve the right. He's been duly elected, to protect him, to ensure his security and his safety. So for me, on the side of the law, the soldiers are doing what they're supposed to do. Even though if eventually he was maybe found guilty and then his impeachment was maybe was stamped on endorsed by the court, appropriately, maybe he will be jailed. That's another issue altogether. But for now, he's still the president. So the soldier reserve the right to ensure that his safety and his life is protected. So for me, I think they are doing what they ought to do right now. Because otherwise, if they allow those who want to arrest him to effect that, in the course of that, maybe anything happened and he lost his life, that could, snowball into a lot of, national crisis, that could lead to so many things, damages, protests, and so many other things. So, but so far so good. They are still maintaining, a high level of discipline, ethical leadership, and then values and culture. So I think I appreciate that, on the part of the soldier.
All right, let's move on to the U.S. Concerning the wildfire. President Joe Biden has announced a federal aid of $770 one-time payment to the California wildfire victims as they battle the wildfires. Looking at the move by the government to bring succor to the people affected, how would you judge the efforts being made by the American government, paying a one-off $770 to the victims of the wildfire? And we already know that 1+ billion has already been distributed. $5.1 million have already been, disbursed in terms of trying to cater for those affected.
Well, thank you so much. Situation like this, that is a natural occurrence, that is a natural disaster, that is something that unexpected, or the system really does not prepare, but it is foreseeable. Proactively and responsibly, America is good at that. America today is beclouded of so many natural disasters for one thing or the other. It is either today Hurricane Katrina or Hurricane Helene. It is tomorrow Los Angeles tornadoes, and now today you are seeing wildfire, unstoppable wildfire that has been on now for days. As at the last count now, almost 13,000 to 14,000, buildings, houses, and then have been razed down completely. It is recorded that this is the worst, in the history, in decades, in America, and all that. America, in their greatness, in their mightiness right now, as the most powerful country in the world, are daily battling, to save the situation. But unfortunately, as we speak right now, it is yet unabated in one way or the other, and all that kind of something. Here is my position that I see, because the carnal mind cannot discern the spiritual thing. Some of this calamity facing America call for caution. It called for a sober reflection. It called for America sitting back, the leadership at the top, to review their policies, the way they relate to other countries and individuals, across the world. No doubt they are the most powerful country in the world today, but they are no more powerful than God, the rulers, in the affairs of men all over. There has been so many criminality, so many questionable things, so many, unprintable things that America has done on record that we can pinpoint, that sometimes we wonder, why should a country embark on that? Just this morning on the platform, something was posted, some few houses of people who give to charitable organizations who have been supporting humanity, so palaces were not touched in one way or the other. And I posted there in response to say, look, this is the time for America to sit back, to clinically redimension, to redefine their life and how they relate to other countries, other nations, and individuals. If they don't like your face, they hound you, they haunt you until they finish you, and so many other things. No, it shouldn't be, and all that. So, excuse me, it is time, because from my own perspective, and I can engage anybody on a debate, why this raging fire, with all their witty technology and invention, this fire has defied America's capacity to quench it in the last almost 3 weeks running, or 2 weeks running now, or thereabout and all that. They need to look inward to caution themselves and to begin to address certain things that they are doing in the secret, that they think nobody sees or nobody know, that God sees, because He's a rewarder of those who do themselves serving. And the Bible is clear that, God made the foolishness of this world to confound the wise. All right, I'm working on a project or a write-up, serious write-up that I need to send to America. They need to look inward to address so many things. Let me give you an instance in 2019. The issue of COVID-19, advent of the emergence of COVID-19 is not without the knowledge of America from the facts available to all over the world. We have videos, we have everything where they said they want to exterminate about 1.5 billion human beings. mostly 85% from the African continent and so many other things. That COVID-19 was manufactured between them and China, and they released it, thinking that they are going to wipe away thousands, if not millions, of life in America and third world countries and what have you. At the end of the day, what happened? The thing backfire in America that killed several millions. Even in that, they have the finance of healthcare services and facilities and all that. In the same token, the thing backfire beyond the imagination of the Chinese government. That at a point they were locking people inside the houses, people who are dying on the street in their numbers and so many other things. So they must watch it, they must be careful. Africa is we are God's favorite. They must be careful the way they deal with us. So this fire that is raging with all the helicopter hovering all over every minute here and there, and yet the fire does not stop. It's a pointer that America should sit back, particularly that a new government is coming in now. They should desist from widely wicked ways of oppressing, of victimizing smaller nations, and individuals across the world. Because it is the Bible that says, if my people who are called by my name will desist and abstain from their sinful ways and cry unto me, I will heal their land. After all, the mantra in America is a nation, built, under God or something of that nature or another, if I get it right. So, but today, you can see that America today are sponsoring, gay system. They are sponsoring LGBTQ. They are sponsoring so many terrible things that are happening all over the world and all that, And so, in the course of this, the heaven is not happy. It's raging against them. Nobody can be greater than God, the real owner of the entire universe. So they might be clearly be the mightiest or the greatest country in the world, but God is greater, God is mightier than them. So what is happening in America, for me, it is divine. It is God now, because it is often said that it's a fearful thing to fall into the hand of the Almighty, because it's a consuming fire. It's a warning signal. If they don't desist, more calamity will come upon them. That is my position.
All right, let's move on to insecurity in Nigeria. As a few days into the year 2025, renewed onslaught by daredevil terrorists, bandits, and other criminal elements is sending fearful signal across many parts of the country. A report that there has been series of unprovoked attacks on suspecting civilians and security operatives by non-state actors, causing tension across the nation. According to the report we have here, it tells us that over 78 people were killed, while over 80 others were kidnapped across different states in the first week of January 2025. A few days into the year 2025, renewed onslaught by daredevils. For you, does this not throw away the impression the military, the Nigerian government, to say that insecurity in the country has reduced?
Well, it's quite unfortunate that we're still witnessing what we are witnessing. There are a lot of connivance, there's a lot of sabotage, within those communities. There are a lot of people within the community who are working hand in hand because of illegal, activities, particularly in the area of mining, in the area of cow rustling and cattle rustling and so many other things and all that. Because the question I ask is, where are these so-called insurgents? Where are these militants? Where are the Boko Haram? Where are the ISWAP? Where is their commanding base from? Where is their barrack? Where is their cantonment? Where are they operating from? You get what I'm saying? So much has gone into this. I have watched keenly and have listened to the comment of the CDS General, the Chief of Defense Staff and the Chief of Army Staff and all that. They've been talking tough lately. But beyond talking, they need to do more. Beyond talking, the federal need to reach a riot order. Look, I give you 6 months, you don't settle this matter, forget it, all of you. If they need to deploy, they should deploy more people. Technology, for crying out loud. These guys are like cockroaches in the bush, in the desert, in the Chad Basin's bed, in Sambisa Forest. One single soul of American was carried or kidnapped by these guys. America, in their greatness and their mightiness, came here, they sniffed them to sleep, all of them, and they took that single person away. The same technology is there. So all this because a lot of people are making money. These are things that the armed forces really need to. Enough is enough. Who are these boys? Where is their barrack? Even if their barrack is somewhere, I can't take with them, because I watched the interview of the CDS now in Nigeria sometimes last week, and so many other things that he has to go to the J Republic and go to some of those places to discuss with them. Aside from collaborating, this West African country working together hand in hand, they should do more. If those ones are killing them from there and we are brushing them from here, it doesn't take long. Within 3 months, they could get life out of these guys and so many other things. There are technology, there are chemicals, there are, things that they can use to comb them and then fish them out and then settle them once and for all and give them mass burial without much ado. And then internally, the local government, the state governments, and the rest of them should begin to sanitize each of those communities, those borders, and so many other things to ensure that those who are doing illegal mining are called to order. And then the National Assembly should pass into law immediately to make an expedition that if this matter does not stop, anybody found collaborating, you cannot be living in town and be giving information to insurgents and militants and all that. If you are found wanting summarily execution, they should kill them without much ado. These are things that we need to do, because the best way to deal with a bully is to bully the bully. These boys are taking our armed forces for too long, and then some of the top leaders of the army too, Air Force, Navy, and all this, they must declare war, but the president must make it clear. Oh boy, within 6 months, if this matter does not stop, I will sack all of you. That's it. So we have gotten to that point that other than billions of, how much they projected for them, for the military, because of this insecurity this year. These are money that ordinarily should have been used for infrastructure, for education, for healthcare, that have been wasted. And then there is no productivity, no accountability, and all that. Give it to the soldiers, they have done their best because we have lost quite a lot of them, and so many other things. May their soul rest in peace. They paid dearly for securing the territorial integrity of our country. But then, beyond all of this, there must be sanity that the president needs to declare. The state of sanity in the armed forces. Give them timeline that within 6 months, between now and maybe May, June, this matter must be sorted out. So if they need to recruit more and get more people to go to those places, work day and night, use helicopter, use the latest technology to finish all these boys, they should do that, and then let our country be at peace, and let's begin to see how we can save funds for something better that will benefit the citizens of this country, rather than wasting money on this militancy, swap, and insurgency, and so many other things and other. If we need to begin to build war, we should begin to build war. America is bigger than us, yet they have war against Mexico, against other countries, and so many. So we can begin to see how we can embark on that, and then use the latest technology to prosecute this war. This is my position.
All right, let's quickly move to the power sector, where the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, has said that the national electricity grid will remain prone to collapse. According to the minister, this was due to the government's inability to repair a crucial transmission line in the northern part of the country owing to persistent insecurity. Adelabu said this on Monday during the 2025 budget defense session in the Senate Joint Committee on Power. The minister said the Shiroro-Kaduna-Mando line, which had been out of service since vandalism incident in October 2024, had caused immeasurable loss to the nation. He pointed out this as a major reason for the frequent collapse of the national grid. How do you see this? Is this not a slap, saying it's going to continue because of insecurity? Are they saying the Nigerian army, the Nigerian military can go in there and flush these persons, criminals, out of that area where repairs needs to be done and repairs done, and put a standby guard there to protect that particular facility, knowing that it's very crucial to the country?
Well, Anthony, I need to let you know that it's quite unfortunate. A lot of things are not being properly done. Any minister who doesn't know what he's supposed to do should not be allowed to.
Not to cut you short, I wanted to ask if you think he's capable, because he has always come up with very excuses and different, talking from two sides of his mouth.
That's why I'm saying that any minister that is not doing well after 3-6 months, the president should fire him. No, we are not tired of first ministers giving excuses. You don't have what it takes, then leave the place and let somebody that has better thing to do it. They will give excuse to why the things will collapse tomorrow, give excuse why. So why are you there in the first place? If we have wasted billions of dollars for 25 years on this power sector, and yet we are yet to have flight, and somebody is giving excuses, what is the point? They said they privatized, they unbundled the NEPA, and yet now people are just sitting money, they are collecting money in the name of this and that, and because there's nobody is being sanctioned, nobody is being put to to serious tests as far as this is concerned, and that's why you see a lot of impunity all over the places. The country is sick and tired of all this kind of embarrassment. For crying out loud. That's my position, please.
All right, let's just quickly look at the issue of waivers, where the National Assembly is the National Assembly's Joint Committee on Finance has constituted a special committee to probe the shortfall of over 4 trillion revenue due to indiscriminate waivers by agencies of government. The decision to set up the panel to probe the shortfall followed a motion moved by Senator Adamu Alero during the hearing of the probe of the revenue profiles of ministries, departments, and agencies, MDAs, and government-owned enterprises ahead of the 2025 budget, hearing. The hearing was to enable the Senate and House Representative Committees to develop accurate and realistic revenue projections for 2025. Are you convinced that these hearings and this probe would bring something positive at the end of the day? Because we've seen these probes again and again, and 4 trillion naira revenue shortfall is a huge one. Can you hear me? Okay, I think we lost him there. All right, we're looking at the National Assembly's Joint Committee on Finance, saying they're going to set up a constituted special committee to probe the shortfall of over 4 trillion naira revenue due to indiscriminate waivers by agencies of government. And so it shouldn't be difficult for the probe or the committee to get down to work and to get those corporates, the agencies and parastatals that have been found wanting since their government agencies, and we hope the records will be there for them to be able to do a very thorough job, and so that the corporates will be fished out and the right things done, so that going forward they can have a very, like I said, effective projections for 2025 budget. The hearing, we hope, would be done and done right, as the Joint Committee is to be co-chaired by Senator Sani Musa and James Faleke. And we hope this would help for the National Assembly to come out with a very, very, convincing and realistic projections for 2025. Let's go for a quick break. When we return from the break, we'll look at some issues making the rounds, and we'll be talking to the Director General of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, in the person of Prince Dr. Chinedu Obi, who will be giving us some lowdown as regards the way forward, the action plan of IPAC for 2025. All right, welcome back from the break. You're still watching The Desk on Global Television. It's now time for us to join the Director General of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, in the person of Prince Dr. Chinedu Obi, who is joining us via call to give us heads up as regards the certain agenda for political parties in Nigeria and what they've got, the action roadmap for 2025. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on The Desk.
Yeah, good evening, Tony. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for joining us despite your, I know you're on your sick bed, but thank you for making our time to talk with us.
You're welcome, always welcome.
All right, let's look at 2025. We know that we're 2 years away from the 2027 elections, and political parties and politicians are already scheming realignment and everything geared towards 2027. For IPAC, how key is their role in trying to ensure that the electorates who have the right to decide who leads them come the next elections, and also put the electoral body, INEC, in proper perspective and check to ensure that the continuous allegations of vote rigging and other infractions during elections do not reoccur?
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Nigerians, and I would like to appreciate you for giving me the opportunity to make this contribution. Yes, truth is that political parties and IPAC as a body is not just all about election. Yes, election is the festival of democracy, no doubt, but there are other things that we do that helps to deepen democracy. This year, on the 30th of January, especially, IPAC will be launching a book that celebrates the 100 years of political parties evolution in Nigeria. You're aware that in year 1923, Herbert Macaulay set up the first political party. 2 years ago was exactly 100 years of political parties in Nigeria. So IPAC had put together a book called 100 Years of Political Parties in Nigeria. And what IPAC needs to do is to drop that for Nigerians to see how we have gotten to where we are now. Now, part of the event of that day would be a roundtable that will also discuss the activities of political parties within the last 100 years. So we need to see the way forward, what lessons have we learned, what are the likely inclusions to deepen our democracy. Now, that event would be high class. We're going to have the former secretary to the federal government, Senator Pius Anyim, as the person delivering the keynote, talking about 100 years of political parties in Nigeria, the structures, the way forward, and the issues we've had over time. We'll be expecting General Abdulsalam Abubakar to be the chairman of that event, and we'll have high-class governors, Professor Dega and so on, to be part of the discussion. Now, like I said, it's not just about election. At the end of the year, specifically from 16 to 17, 18, 20th of December last year, IPAC was in Lagos, facilitated by the Westminster Foundation for Democracy, to look at our code of conduct, to move our code of conduct, not just only providing the code and ethics for political parties, but to come up with a comprehensive constitution that will guide the operation of IPAC and the operation of political parties and politicians in general in Nigeria. We believe that that will help us strengthen the institution and create some sort of ethics for political party participation. Then again, by February, we'll be unveiling again the movie we call Broken.
Let's focus on the other issues now, because this is more like publicity now. But let's move on to the issue of internal democracy for political parties. parties not having ideologies. What is APAC doing to ensure that we can boldly say this is the ideology of the PDP, this is the ideology of the APC, this is the ideology of the Labour Party? What is APAC doing to instill that in political parties in Nigeria?
Political parties don't have political parties in Nigeria do not have ideology. I don't also believe that. One of the requirements for every political party to be registered as one is that a party should be able to have a constitution, have a logo, have an ideology. And almost all political parties do the ideology from Chapter 2 of our Constitution, talking about principle of state policies and all that. So each political party actually have its own, you may say, is that Nigerians generally have a way of moving away from the ideologies they've set for them. It is part of what we expect to see in deepening our democracy as we move forward is that we'll be able to tilt towards parties that you can see that they either tilt to the left or to the right. But certainly all political parties have their ideologies.
Okay, the issue of
Tony, are you there?
okay. Yeah, the issue of internal democracy. How can it be strengthened? Because we still see that that's something lacking in our political parties, and the issue of vote buying, thuggery, still remain evident in our political parties and elections, and also the issue of INEC.
Tony, I agree with you. Ours is an evolving democracy.
All right, we're having some hitch there in terms of the network.
Is one of the elephant in the room that we're trying to deal with. Is also, it has become a weapon for some political parties, particularly the ones who are in government, who have used impoverishing the people as a strategy, so that when it comes to election, they dangle a bag of rice and people go to vote for them. I think that IPAC on its own is working hard to see how we can redress that. Part of our contributions in the ongoing electoral act reform, we introduced CPAP penalties for people who get involved in election vote buying. And to create for a body responsible for punishing electoral offenses. Now, over time, you find that people get involved in election malpractices and nothing really happens. Thuggery is one of them. So we expect that in the new reform, we should be able to have a new body strictly responsible for punishing electoral offenders so that we can come near to dealing with it.
All right, let's wrap up our conversation. On the final note for INEC, what will be the watchword for INEC? Do you think there's need for change of leadership and the way of,
Well, the change of the change of leadership of INEC is provided even under the
should there be a change
caution. The responsibility of appointing. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, what we have proposed is that we have a constitutional amendment that will take away the appointment of the INEC chairman and, of course, the national commissioners from the executive, because the executive are players and should not be a referee in their own game. So we expect that when that happens, INEC will be truly independent. Now, I must tell you, INEC is not as bad as Nigerians see them to be. The INEC is a product of the Nigerian society. And don't forget, majority of the times during elections, less than
All right, that's how much we're going to take.
the entire other ones that are recruited from Nigerians. And if you look at how INEC over time have tried to see what they can do to make the electoral system better. You can actually give it to INEC. The INEC have done so well. But of course, we only see INEC. We forget that there are some other players. You have those involved in logistics, Nigeria Road Districts. You have so many other players involved in the electoral management system. I mean, when it comes to election being proper, and not strictly INEC. So sometimes, but of course, they take the blame when anything goes wrong. You have the security agencies. Everybody is a total team work, not necessarily INEC as an institution.
All right, thank you very much. That's how much time is going to allow us on today's edition of the program, The Desk. I want to say thank you very much for talking to us and giving us a peep into what IPAC is contributing towards a better electoral system for the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony, for inviting me, and thank you, Nigerians.
All right, we've been talking to the Director General of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, in the person of Prince Dr. Chinedu Obi, giving us some peep into what IPAC is planning and the roadmap to ensure that Nigeria's democracy gets to the promised land. That's how we call it a wrap on today's edition of the program, The Desk. I am Anthony Momodio.